application oriented?
Yeah, now we can see.
I'm so sorry, there's some goof up happening at the WebEx end. I'm trying to manage, but
Yeah, now we can see the slide. The
okay, great. So okay, what I was saying was basically in a bank, there are sections like loan section, there are sections like savings section, there are sections like credit card section. Now for each and every one of these sections, there is a dedicated database. Why do we need a dedicated database? Just imagine there are thousands of queries being fired on the savings section. So you don't want the thousands and lakhs of queries to impact your credit card transaction. You don't want a credit card transaction to take 1 hour to complete. So you want these, operational specific database. My database is meant to do this one particular task. So it is for credit card only. So all credit card transactions will be directed toward the credit card database. All savings related transactions will be directed towards the savings database. Is this clear? Why do we do that? So these are your operational databases. On the other hand, you have something called as a data warehouse. Now let's take an example of a customer. A customer in the bank would be a customer who is actually subscribed for a savings account. A customer would also be a customer who is actually subscribed for a credit card account. A customer could also be a guy who is actually applied for a loan. So basically, a customer spans across all three departments: credit card, loans, and savings. So you integrate the data from these departments and load it into a data warehouse. So the customer table of a data warehouse would have all the data of all the customers from credit card department, loans department, and saving department. Is this clear? This has to be crystal clear. Anyone who doesn't understand this? Anyone who doesn't understand this? Okay, anybody who wants to repeat it on my behalf? Anybody who wants to give it a try? Okay, so I'll repeat it since nobody wants to.
I can try, Ankit.
Go ahead.
So what I understood is that database is actually the collection of information for different business departments or domains. Particular to this example, while data warehouse comes in picture when we need information or data to be extracted from those different departmental databases.
Perfect. So what's your name?
Manjari.
Okay. Everybody, anybody has a doubt after C explaining it? I'll just repeat it once again for mine. The way she said, now let's take an example again, loan, saving, and credit card. You have a customer. I am a customer who took loan. Manju is a customer who has a savings account. And let's take an example of Priya. For example, she has a credit card account. We all see our customers in this bank. Okay, so when the bank executives wants to see what all are my customers, what all are the customers in the bank, he'll actually have to integrate the data from loan, savings, and credit card department. He'll have to integrate the data from loan, savings, and credit card department into a center. So if he doesn't get it into a center place, he'll have to query 3 different databases at a time, which is basically a toxic task. First of all, these are transactional databases. These databases have a lot of queries firing on them anyway. You're actually accessing your savings account databases every now and then when you go to net banking. So imagine how many people are actually accessing this database. On top of where your objective is to reduce the load on this database. So rather than reducing the load, if you are actually firing queries of reports also in these databases, you are basically loading the databases. Loans, savings, and credit are separate databases altogether. That is something which needs to be very clear. And we integrate data from these databases into a central data warehouse. Now is it clear? It should be very clear by now. Folks, please tell me. Awesome.
Ankit, here, can I just ask one thing?
Go ahead, go ahead.
So we can say that this data warehouse is dynamic, right? It's not, it keeps changing depending upon the queries we are making or the needs of the business.
I don't know how to answer this question as such, but okay. So it is something like this. It's not dynamic in nature. It shows historic data, but it updates itself every day. So basically, the old data which is there, it's already there, with adding new data again. So I say it's updating rather than being dynamic.
Okay, yeah, updating I meant, yeah. I understood.
So it's updating itself again and again. Like now we'll talk about this also in a while, but since we have got this off right now, let's try to clear it right now. What happens in a data warehouse is basically something like this. You know, at times when you place an order, you see your order will get reflected in next half an hour or in 1 hour. Did you ever notice something like this? Like, you know, immediately when you're viewing your order or the report of the order, or for example, immediately when you're viewing the FedEx app, let's take an example of Amazon again. You place an order on Amazon and you're given a tracking ID. If you immediately check that tracking ID on FedEx, you get nothing. You will get nothing on that. So what do you do? The reason for that is basically the data from the Amazon system has not yet been updated into the FedEx system. Why is that? The reason for that is a data warehouse is periodic in nature. What you do is, it depends, it's subjective to how companies work. So some companies update their data warehouse every 1 hour. Some update them every 3 hours. Some update them weekly. Some update them daily. Some update them every 5 minutes. So due to that, you know, what does a database do is extract the updated information from the OLTP system, which is your database, which is online transactional processing system, and loads it into a data warehouse, which is also known as online analytical processing system or a decision support system. OLAP is online analytical processing system. Okay, so you get the data from, that is why you see that lag. So this is how, this is why we say it's updating in nature. Is this clear, man? Anybody else has a doubt in this? Okay, so now Prakash, the question was the difference in operational and transactional database. They are one and the same. Operational databases are also known as online transactional databases. Okay, so now what is a OLAP? OLAP is basically a DSS or a data warehouse. So let's talk about OLTP for now, and let's talk about the difference between the OLAP and the OLTP system. Now this is your OLAP system, data warehouse. When I say OLAP, I mean your data warehouse. Nilima, if you understand what is a data warehouse, OLAP is the same thing as a data. It's just different terminologies being used in the industry. There are three terminologies. One is OLAP, other is data warehouse or a warehouse, and the third is decision support system. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now when we talk about OLTP system, OLTP system is application oriented. We just saw that. Warehouse is subject oriented. When we say subject oriented, we say customer data, product data. So it's customer, product, all these are subjects in the business. So it's subject oriented. OLTPs are used to run the business. Can you just go through this slide and tell me what is not clear? I want you guys to take efforts to understand. This slide is something that you guys need to understand more than I'll rather explain you. Okay, let's talk about detailed data. OLTPs are detailed data. Like let's take an example of a product. Let's take an example of iPhone. So iPhone, you bought like I can see 5 names over here. JV, Nilima, Ravi, Preeta. You all 4 or 5 people bought an iPhone. So there are 5 entries in the transaction process stating that they bought an iPhone. But when you look into a warehouse, there would be a particular table, or rather the business would create a table where they are actually counting total number of iPhones sold. It's not who bought the iPhone, it's total number of iPhones sold today, or total number of iPhones sold in the northwestern region of America, total number of iPhones sold in Singapore, total number of iPhones sold in China. So it's summarized data. So basically, when a chief executive officer want to know what is my yearly sale of say America based on the state, so you'll get the 4% sale has been in this region, 5% sale has been in this region. So you get aggregation or summarization of the data. Is this clear, everyone? Okay. Now there is one thing that I want to request all of you guys. There are a lot of questions which are like a person like which are specific to you guys. So like I'm getting personal messages on the chat regarding that. So if you guys can just do me a favor, can you just drop an email where you feel that some questions are basically like if some questions, if I'm not able to answer some of the questions, just drop me an email and I'll answer those questions to you in the email. Sripriya has a question. What is Sripriya has a question. What is ad hoc access? Ad hoc access is basically okay. Sripriya, you are the chief executive officer of a company, say Apple again, and it's access. The report access. Generally, what happens in the morning every day. You as a CEO want to see the report of the previous day. So it's an ad hoc access where the report that you want to see is the previous day report. So entire day, the only report you see is your previous day's report. Guys, if the audio is not clear, I guess we have to try the same thing again. Just drop off and join again, because I guess that worked last time also. Okay, so I had a question. What is OLTP? So OLTP is your loan database, your credit card database, your trust database, your saving database. OLTP is your operational database. Sripriya explained it very well. OLTP are daily transactions in the target. True, very true. Udi has a very nice suggestion out over here. So let's take that suggestion up. Can't we use SQL queries to do this? Can't we write for example, let me just reframe this question. Can't we write procedures to load data from one database to another database? Why use the ETL flow? Okay, so what happens is, Udi, SQL, when you were in school, for example, there's a particular thing that you're trying to understand, reading some like 5-page theory. So that is your 5-page procedure, and the same thing gets converted into a diagram, a UI representation of the same thing, and it's easier to understand. That's why we need ETL tools. In ETL tools, we can actually graphically design how things are happening. When you talk about a procedure, suppose if there is a change, suppose if there is a change from the business to add an extra column, you'll actually have to sit down, dissect your 20-page, 30-page long procedures. I've seen procedures which are 8,000 lines, and those procedures are like, it's very difficult to understand those procedures. There are a lot of loopings happening in the procedure. There are a lot of cursors going on. That's pure database aspect.